Hello class, this is Scott Caruso with my week 1 AOC 12-11 reflection video. All in all, a pretty good week. It was nice to have one of these programming classes for a change where I don't want to say that I was able to coast, but where the level of the material was not so fast and so furious that I wanted to go and rip my hair out. Um, and I think what really helped was that we had all of the JavaScript background that we had learned, and it became very obvious why we spent so much time focused on getting the principles of JavaScript down. It made starting to learn C that much easier. That was a kind of the aha moment that I really had this week. Talk a little bit about my project. I essentially put together a little code story that talks about an election, a presidential candidate, and it starts off by breaking down the percentage of the vote that he received in a given state as a float, converted it to an int to get the difference between that candidate and his opponents. It ran through some if else to figure out if the candidate won or lost the state. I then went into some other little pieces of the story where we determined, for instance, how many more states were left to compete with. That was my while loop. My nested for loop, as another example, was discussing one of the campaign surrogates, going out and doing interviews with the networks and trying to figure out how much more time was left in those interviews. So all election themed. As a political wonk junkie like I am, obviously that's all top of mind right now. So that's kind of why I focused on that. And I felt like it went really well. I grasped Objective C, the little bits that we've been fed so far, pretty easily, I thought. Um, Ironically enough, the biggest problem that I had in terms of my syntax was a problem that I never had in JavaScript, where I kept forgetting to put the semicolons at the end of a lot of the lines of code, and I never made that mistake in JavaScript. So I don't know what happened this week. I think I just had a couple of massive brain farts over and over again. But all in all, because of the JavaScript that we've already learned, the concept so far anyway makes sense. I think the few things that could use a little bit more clarification. I do want to learn more about what Xcode does, generally speaking, in terms of compiling code and all the different options that it provides. I mean, I know how to compile, I know how to create a project in that, but there's a lot of finer points that we don't yet know, and I think that would be awesome. The other thing that I don't feel like we have really touched upon, I don't know if it comes later on or not, I saw a lot of different references to this concept of a signed or an unsigned int or char. I'd like to know more, learn more about that. I just didn't have the time this week. I should go on my own to kind of find out what signed and unsigned were and how they impacted code. So if I were to say that there was something I could use more clarification or learn more on, that would be that. And finally, on the what do I think I could have done better, I don't feel like my code is as optimal as it could be, and I think that was because I was trying to meet the requirements of the project. I think there were probably places where I could have cleaned it up a little bit and used fewer lines of code. And at this point, I really enjoy making applications that have some kind of use and purpose. And this week's was just was a story, right? There's no use or purpose for this other than passing an assignment. And I really can't wait to get into actually building something else that has some kind of use or purpose. And I think I will get more engaged and feel less detached from the work once we're doing that, and that'll be something that will go better for me. So that was week 1. Hope everyone else had a great week as well.